An Unexpected Visitor and a Buried Secret by Susan Pridmore of Rylstone, 2849. Narrated by Janine Penfold. We all have stories to tell. This is my father's story of his hike from Adelaide to Mount Gambier and back, to win the heart of my mother. He nearly died along the way, but survived to record it all. Well, nearly all, as he never revealed the most important, intriguing part. What did really transpire between him and Mother that day, 26th of December, 1931, when after hiking 350 miles, he just so happened to drop by the farm where she was staying? We daughters will never know. We only know it was impeccable timing on our father's part. Without that walk, we would not exist. Father was then 20 years old, on Adelaide University summer holidays. Engineering results were out. He was free. He had always wanted to go walking in the countryside, alone, doing as he pleased, he thought. Things were quiet, dullish on the home front. Wouldn't it be great to hike down southeast, along the Coorong, to Mount Gambier, explore that countryside? So why not now? Ah, yes, we know why now. We understand there was a hidden agenda, a secret mission, and no time to waste. When mentioning his plan, he met opposition. Everyone said, "It's dangerous, impossible, in fact, plain mad, especially alone." It was indeed all those things. South Australian midsummer weather is notoriously dry, with temperatures over 100 degrees Fahrenheit and scorching north winds. More determined than ever, he hoisted his 15-pound haversack over his back and set off for the Mount Lofty Ranges, whistling happily. It was the 16th of December, 1931. He planned to travel about 30 miles a day, sleeping under the stars. Too late, he discovered he'd left his blanket behind. He found resting places on straw in a wheat paddock, on a seaweed-choked beach, smelly, on half-green mosquito-infested grass, not good, and in an empty shed. The night it rained. What luck. He developed badly blistered feet and gladly accepted lifts here and there with rabbit carcass carriers, wattlebark and seaweed wagoners, and local farmers. He passed tobacco crops and vast wheat paddocks studded with brilliant red poppies. He listened to tell stories about snakes, bushrangers, and especially tramps, some honest, some otherwise, but mostly otherwise. When he sought drinking water from farms along the way, he knew that with his own growing beard and dishevelment, he himself could well be mistaken for a tramp. However, his smile won trust and welcome wherever he went. On the 10th day, Boxing Day, it just so happened he was passing a certain farm in the middle of nowhere, where he knew my mother was spending her own university holidays. He decided to drop by, as one might, to say hello. This delightful, vivacious young woman was in fact rather mixed up, quite undecided between two men in her life, which at 20 is quite understandable. She loved both. At this moment, she loved the farmer, the mature older man, the brother of her best school friend. In fact, they were just selecting a site on which to build their home and future together when my father turned up. Her equilibrium was severely upset. She knew him well enough to suspect his intention. He was in love with her and was not going to let her slip away from him. For her, he was a sweet laddie, and had accepted his courting for the past year, back home in Adelaide. She had led him a merry dance, but he never lost faith that he would win her over some day. Before leaving next morning, they had a long walk and talk. What passed between them is a secret buried with them. We only know he left, whistling, with a light heart and the strength and courage to get through the final 2 days of his trek, in which he nearly perished from dehydration in 108-degree Fahrenheit heat. Mother came to her senses, realising his love, strength and spirit. In 1934, they married and had 4 daughters. I know my father longed for a son. What adventures they could have, camping in the bush. But, alas, I was another girl. Mother, after my difficult birth, knew she couldn't go through it again. Father understood and gave to his daughters as many educative, unforgettable, and for me, rather scary experiences as possible. Scrambling to the top of St Mary's Peak via an unmarked track when I was small was terrifying. I achieved it. Just. Mother died suddenly, late 1984. We were all in shock. We feared for Father's well-being, but he rallied through to rebuild his life. My marriage had dissolved by then, and I mentioned to Father that I had been told about Mike the potter, who had similar environmental values to myself. A colleague at work had seen him in a 1983 ABC Big Country documentary. I felt compelled to visit him, but didn't know how. He lived too far away. Father, ever ready for an adventure, planned to take the first step. Returning home from attending a wedding in northern New South Wales, he decided to check things out on my behalf. Challenged, not discouraged, by warnings from the local post office about remote, rough terrain, he set off. Not on foot, but in his faithful Peugeot. His timing again was perfect. Mike was home, which was not always the case. Both men greeted each other warmly and happily talked about trees over a cuppa. Father reported back to me favourably, except for the rough track. Like him, obstacles simply fuelled my intention to visit Mike. So, I did, and my life changed forever. Today, I'm sure Father drops by now and then and sits with Mike and me in front of the crackling fire, listening to the powerful owls calling, the wildlife peacefully grazing, all free and safe. I feel his beautiful smile and say, "Thank you, dearest Dad, for being you." The buried secret remains at rest, where it belongs. The end.